Draw model equal before or after. Question 1. Ahmad had thrice as much money as Devi. So this is shown here. Next, if Ahmad gives Devi 45, this is where the question type comes in. We are told after this transfer, they will have the same amount of money. So the way to do this is to take the difference and halve it. So if after giving 45, they are the same, then try halving the difference and call each half 45. So what happens? Let's simulate the transfer. Now, because of this word if, there wasn't actually any transfer. If the transfer took place, they would be the same. So let's transfer. So this is how that 45 coming here would cause both of them to have an equal amount. And again, the only way that works is if the difference is halved. And in this case, the difference, each unit is 45, 45. Okay, so the transfer didn't take place, so let's put the 45 back to Ahmad's share. What do we have here? If 3 units is shown up there and 1 unit down here, that means the difference is 2 units, and 2 units is 90, which means 1 unit is 45. With that, we're going to form an equation. So question asks, how much does Ahmad have? So here it's 3 units. So if 1 unit is 45, 3 units is 135. N and M had an equal number of sweets at first. Again, this question type is about being told equal before or equal after. In this case, it's equal before. Now, after Natasha received 132, so gained 132, and Michelle gave away 60, so 60 removed, shaded. Now, drawing 60 here, we can draw 60 up there above. And next, Natasha had 4 units in the end, and Michelle had 1 unit in the end. So let's say Michelle had 1 unit in the end. So this portion is also 1 unit. And if Natasha had 4 units in the end, that means 1U plus 3 units. And here 3 units make up the sum of 60 and 132. So that can be an equation. 3 units is 192. Therefore 1 unit is 64. Question: how many did each of them have at first? So each of them had an equal amount, if you recall, which was this bar here. That means we can just find 1 unit plus 60, giving us 124. Cassandra 5 times as many as Charmaine at first. So there was a few changes, and now they tell us that they had the same number in the end. So it's equal after. So let's show, for me, I'll start with the situation after. So at the end, they had the same amount. Now I'm going to act out the question. Let's pretend that Cassandra had not given away that 648. So at the beginning, she did have that 648. She had not given that away yet. Next, let's show that Charmaine had not received that 216. So at first, she did not have this 216. So her initial number was actually much smaller, not including that 216. So having drawn 216 here, we can draw 216 above. And now we can go back to the first sentence, which was Cassandra had 5 times of Charmaine, which means 1U and 4U and 1U. So from here we can tell that 4 units is 216 plus 648. Hence this equation, and 1U is 216. How many did Cassandra have at first? We can simply find 5 units worth. Or simply 1U plus these 2 numbers will obtain 1080. Here we are told that the quantities were equal at first. So lollipops, candy cane, equal at first. Now I'm going to show 66 lollipops sold. And after this change, and there was no change to candy canes, so this resulted in L being 1 unit and candy canes being 3 units. So what's useful here? We can tell therefore that 2 units, the difference between 1U and 3U, 2 units make up 66. 1U is therefore 33. How many L's and candy canes were there at first? Now, this actually means we want the total at first, which means we can find 4 units plus 66. And that's what's done, giving us 198. Chelsea had 588, Sarah has 208, and there was a transfer, internal transfer, and they were equal at the end. So this is equal after. So I'm going to show the initial situation followed by the transfer. Let's show, again, if the quantities were equal after, we're going to halve the difference. So the difference at present is 308. Just take this minus this, and we're going to halve that, which gets 190,190. So that's how we do it. So the difference is 380. We're going to halve that. And the question is, how many stickers must Chelsea give? Well, we just found it. The transfer has to be 190, which is half of the difference of 308. So this is the number transferred to obtain equal quantities after. I and j had an equal number at first. So we're going to show I and j being equal. And now I gave away 20, so that's shaded away. And let's show Jackie gaining 32 stamps. Now, having drawn 20 up here, we can draw 20 below and show that the units will be 1 for I and 3 for j, which means 1 unit and 2 units, making up a total of 3 units. Therefore, 2 units is equal to the sum of 20 and 32, which is 52. Half that, we'll get 1 unit being 26. Now, the question asks, how many did Ibrahim have at first? So this is including the 20 that was given away. So therefore, 1u plus 20 gives us 46. After Abby lost 5, Zoe bought 15, they had the same number in the end. So we're going to show that they had the same number in the end. Now, let's show Abby not losing those 5. So let's show her having those 5 at first. And let's show Zoe not gaining that 15. So she had not bought it. So her initial number was actually much smaller. Now, having drawn 15 here, we can draw 15 up there. And now we're going to show that the difference, which is what the question wants, how many more did A have than Z at first? So the difference at first was actually 15 plus 5, being 20. There were 2, 3, 5 in A and 5, 6, 7 in B. Some pupils transferred from B to A such that both rooms have the same number in the end. Well, okay, question. How many were there in each room after the transfer? Now, we are told that if the end result is that both classes had an equal number of students, and we are looking for what's that number, okay, we can just total the number and divide by 2, which is exactly what we're going to do. So the total here is actually 802. Since we are asked what's the number in each class after that, we'll simply halve it, since we are told that the numbers are equal. So the answer is 401. Here we are told that between orange and greens, they were the same at first, and after this was used and this was used, the difference was 4 units. So 5 units and 1 unit. Okay, let's show that with a model. So equal length at first, so 2 equal bars, and let's show 1.8 of orange being used and 35.5 of green being used, and the end result is O having 5 units and G having 1 unit. Now, if we can find the difference between these two, which is this unshaded area here, that would mean we have found 4 units. So let's do that. So we're going to take the difference, which is 17 meters. 4 units is 17 meters. What is the length of the remaining green? Which means we're interested in 1 unit. We'll just take 17 divided by 4, which is 4¼ meters. So initially, Fandi had 6 times of TL, so that's 6U and 1U. Let's show that. So the difference here must be 5 units. After Fandi spent 99.10 and TL received, so that's an increase, they had the same amount of money. So I'm going to draw this 310.9 such that it's the same length of what F had left. So here we can tell, therefore, that 5 units represent the sum of these two quantities here. And therefore, we can find 1 unit. And how much did they have all together at first? If you can see that at first there were 6 and 1 unit, that means the sum was actually 7 units at first. So having found 1U, we're going to multiply by 7 and obtain 574 as the answer. Alice and Peter, same amount at first. After Alice spent this amount and Peter spent this amount, Peter had 3 units, Alice had 1 unit, which means taking the difference between these two quantities, we will find 2 units. So let's do that. So 31.75 minus 19.55 gives us 2 units being 12.20, 1 unit is 6.10. How much money did Peter have at first? Well, we will just take, in this case, 3U plus 19.55. Alternatively, you should get the same answer if you just take 1U plus 31.75. So that's the alternative method. U and L had an equal amount at first. Okay, so after U gave $40, so U removes 40 and give it to L, which means 40 is shown here. The end result is 5 units for LT and 1 unit for U. That means we can form an equation with 4U equals to $80. So there you go, 4U is 80, 1U is 20. How much money did they have all together? So one thing we can do is to find 1U plus 40 and then multiply by 2 because they had an equal amount at first. So let's find one of them, 1U plus 40, that's 60, and together they would have $120. D and E had an equal number of stamps at first, so we're going to show that E sold 30 and Dennis sold more, sold 78. The end result is 1U and 4 units. Therefore, finding the difference between these two, we will know what 3 units contain. So 3 units would be 78 minus 30, giving us 48. 1 unit is 16. How many stamps did Dennis have at first? So Dennis at first would be 1U plus 78, according to our model, and the answer is 94. Joy and City total 360. We don't know how many each individual had at first. So after Joy lost 28, while City bought 18, both of them had an equal number. So let's show that the total was no longer 360, right? So Joy lost 28, let's have that, and City gained another 18. The total became 350. How many beads did Joy have in the end? Well, what's in the end? Joy in the end, City in the end, both the same. So we can just take the total and halve it, obtaining 175. Eileen and Felice had an equal number of books after Eileen gave 70 away and 174 given away by Felice. Eileen had 3 times as many as Felice. So looking at this, if I take the difference between these two, I will be able to find 2 units. So 2U is therefore 174 minus 70, giving us 104. 1U is therefore 52. How many books did each girl have at first? So each girl at first equal, so it doesn't really matter. Well, this looks simpler to me, so I'm just going to find 1U plus 74, which is 226. S and J had some stamps. S had 5 times, so 5 units, and J had 1 unit. After this transfer, both of them had an equal number at first. So, showed 5 units and 1 unit at first. Now, if there was a transfer and the end result was they had equal numbers, so remember, half that. So the difference is currently 4 units, right? And after transferring 24, they had an equal number. So just take note that the transferred number is 24 and this is 24 as well. And because the difference is 4 units, looking at this graphically, we can tell 4 units is actually 48. So with that, we can form an equation. 1U is therefore 12. How many did both of them have together? So recall that they had 6 units in total at first. So 1U is 12, 6U is therefore 72. Caleb had 3 times as many as Jim at first. After Caleb gave 6, so that's a reduction of 6. Not given to Jim, by the way, just reduced by 6. By the way, Caleb had 3 times, more than Jim, right? So Caleb got reduced and Jim got increased by 4. Then they have the same number. So how does the model look like? Let's see, let's show Caleb losing 6 and Jim gaining 4, and the end result is they had the same number in the end. So gaining 4 here means this portion here is 4 as well. So the difference in terms of units is 2 units, and graphically you can see here that 2 units equal to 10. So equation 2U equals to 4 plus 6, that's 10. 1U is therefore 5. How many did Caleb have at first? So that's 3 units at first. So 5 times 3, that would give us 15. So here we have equal quantities at first, guppies and swordtails. After selling this and this, there were 5 times as many swordtails as guppies left. So equal quantities at first, and then more guppies were sold, and 205 swordtails were sold. And after that, we have 1U and 5U. So we can therefore tell the difference between these 2 quantities will give us 4 units. So 4U is therefore 581 minus 205. 1U is therefore 94. how many at first and in the aquarium? How many guppies? So we're interested in 1U plus 581, and the number is 675. Stephen, Rachel, same amount at first. So after Stephen spent 120 and Rachel spent 900, right, Stephen had 3 units and Rachel had 1 unit. So again, the difference between these two quantities will give us 2 units. So 2U is therefore 900 minus 120, that's 780. How much did Rachel have in the end? So we're interested in 1 unit. So take half of 780, that will give us $390. That concludes this exercise. Draw a model equal before or after. So hopefully this video has been useful to you.